Welcome to New Jersey Divorce Talk Radio, fostering the growth of collaboration through shared resources while empowering families to divorce with dignity. This is New Jersey Divorce Talk Radio.
Are you considering getting a divorce in New Jersey? If so, you will want to stick around as our panel of experts discusses 3 areas they have identified as crucial to achieving the best outcome. This episode of New Jersey Divorce Talk Radio is brought to you by the New Jersey Council of Collaborative Practice Groups. For more information, visit collaboratenj.org. Hey, and welcome back to this episode of New Jersey Divorce Talk Radio. Our guests today are attorneys Melissa Fecak and Karen Sampson, and divorce coach Shireen Meistrich, all of whom sit on the board of the New Jersey Council of Collaborative Practice Groups. Melissa Fecak is a family attorney, mediator, and collaborative lawyer with an office in Merchantville, New Jersey. Karen Sampson is a family law attorney, accredited professional mediator, and collaborative lawyer in Moorestown, New Jersey. Shireen Meistrich is a licensed clinical social worker and collaborative divorce coach in Fair Lawn, New Jersey, who works with divorcing families using the collaborative process. Melissa, Karen, Shireen, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dustin.
Thank you.
Listen, before we jump right in with the 3 tips for getting a divorce in New Jersey, I was wondering if you could give us some background into how you came up with the topic for today.
That's a great question, Dustin. And I think that part of what we're trying to accomplish here, we all serve on the Collaborative Council, and we're very dedicated about educating people in New Jersey about divorce options and process choices. So it's a pretty important aspect of what we do. And when the 3 of us sat down to think about, well, what would be something that has a lot of educational value that helps clients that are in the process of selecting a process or early on in their stages of recognizing that the family is going through a transition or the couple is divorcing. And so we came up with this idea based actually on our own experience. So, for example, a lot of times when I meet with couples, I intentionally ask the question, what led you to your process option choice to divorce? And they sort of look back at me like deer in headlight, like they don't even understand what I'm asking. And then when I drill down and explain, there's so many different ways in which to problem solve. Why did you choose this way? Whether it be mediation, collaboration, litigation. And we're going to get into that a little bit later. And I know that they're educated, so it's not as if they're not being educated, but I think the clients aren't always taking it in, that they have options that they can explore and match the right option for their family. So we thought that would be a pretty good place to start, helping people understand that there's a lot of opportunities and options available to them. And we kind of wanted to start right from the beginning. And that's how we came up with this idea.
So they don't realize that they have choices. They kind of feel like they're just being carried along in this process, and that what's going to happen and how it happens is inevitable.
I think it's more that there's so many different venues to get information. There's listening to friends, there's being on the internet, there's reading books, there's meeting with professionals and consultations. There's just a variety of ways in which people gather information when they're facing the decision that they're getting a divorce, whether or not they want to or not. And different people come to that issue differently, right? So it's more that we want people to know that in a really calm space, like listening to this, they can explore and perhaps even match what would be a good fit for them, as opposed to just understanding the default. I get lawyer, now get divorced. And so we just want people to understand that there's just different avenues to get there.
So I guess that is tip number 1. that you were going to cover, that you have options.
Yeah.
What, I guess can you tell us about those options?
I'm going to pass that off to our lawyers, because they are the ones that for sure are explaining the options to the clients. Generally, the clients go seek out the lawyers. So I think Karen and Melissa, you guys are totally poised to take us through tip number 1.
Yeah, sure, Shireen. So yeah, pretty much based on what Shireen said, the whole concept of divorce options could be pretty overwhelming for a prospective client. And, I think it's not uncommon for people who are facing divorce to maybe discuss the situation with a trusted friend or family member. They may do their own research on the internet. They may confide and seek advice from their clergy or perhaps a therapist. So, the whole thought of what options do I have, what do I do, I think it could all be, quite overwhelming. That being said, there are several options that a divorcing couple could choose to determine how to resolve their divorce issues. And, just to name a few, there's the traditional litigation, there's private arbitration, there's divorce mediation, there's negotiated settlement, and there's collaborative divorce. I would say as a family law attorney and a mediator and a collaborative divorce attorney, at this point in time, probably the more common options that I see out there would be the traditional divorce, the divorce mediation, and the collaborative divorce. So maybe, Melissa, do you want to start off by talking about litigation?
Sure. So litigation is court divorce. That's the one that I think everybody's the most familiar with.
Right.
And what that is it's a process where the parties are going through court. So there's a filing of a complaint, there's an answer, there's discovery. It's an adversarial process. And you have a judge who can help to make decisions for you if you and your spouse are unable to come to a resolution. Now, just because you're going to court doesn't mean you're going to have a trial. It's still a very small percentage of cases that actually have a divorce trial. It's something around 3%. But how you get to a settlement is very different in the litigation process. Because again, it is an adversarial process. There may be a lot of pressure to come to a resolution because you have that impending trial date or other court dates coming up. It can also be very expensive, but it doesn't have to be. It's really dependent upon the parties and how they manage and handle their litigation case. But litigation is not always the right option for every party. Some parties can benefit by different options, and Karen's going to talk to us about mediation, which is a different option.
Right. So with mediation, that is basically where the divorcing couple meets with a mediator who is a third party, neutral individual who does not make any decisions for the couple. The couple makes their own decisions. But the mediator will help facilitate the discussion, identify the divorce issues, help the parties communicate to resolve their issues. And, mediation could be conducted in different ways. Sometimes it's just the divorcing couple and the mediator. Sometimes the parties have their attorneys present. And even it's not uncommon that in the litigation arena that a judge might send the divorcing couple to mediation to resolve their custody issues, parenting time issues, and even economic mediation. So it's mediation is a non-threatening. It's a non-threatening environment. Everything's confidential, and it's an option that the parties can choose if they want to try to work together to resolve their divorce issues.
Is the mediator an attorney? Do they have to be, or what are their qualifications?
The mediator does not need to be an attorney. In New Jersey, there are many divorce mediators in New Jersey who are not attorneys, and there are attorneys also who are divorce mediators. So no, that's not a requirement.
So what happens if the parties go to mediation and they're able to reach an agreement on the issues? What happens after that?
Well, typically what happens is the mediator will write up a memorandum of understanding, which is a non-binding document that identifies the issues that were discussed in mediation and how the parties decided to resolve those issues. And then typically the parties would take that memorandum of understanding to each of their respective attorneys, and the attorneys would put the terms into the property settlement agreement. There are some attorney mediators who may offer to prepare the property settlement. They can do that if they want, but a lot of times it's the memorandum of understanding that the parties receive after a successful mediation. So with the next option that we'd like to discuss today is collaborative divorce. And that is one of the newer options that is available in New Jersey. And I'll hand that off to Melissa to discuss.
Yeah, so collaborative divorce has really only been around for not quite 25 years. And it's only been in New Jersey for maybe about 10 years. And collaborative divorce is similar to mediation, but it's different. And how it's different is each party has their own attorney, and the parties work together with their attorneys in cooperative negotiations to come to a resolution. One of the key factors in collaborative divorce is that we enter into what's called a participation agreement. And this is an agreement that's signed not only by the attorneys and the parties, but other professionals that we use in the case. Collaborative is unique in that we bring in people like Shireen, who's a divorce coach. We can also bring in financial neutrals to assist the parties in things like budgeting and determining the valuation of assets and how to divide those assets. And we can also use other parties, such as maybe a financial advisor, to help a spouse who is not as financial savvy to come to some big decisions with regards to economics and such as spousal support or things like that. So we're using this teamwork approach to help the parties to come to a resolution. In the event that the parties are unable to come to a resolution, there is one big difference from mediation or other process options, in that the attorneys are then excluded. They have to get out of the case if it drops out. But the focus really is on trying to work together. And the great thing about both mediation and collaborative is that the parties are the ones making the decisions. It's not the attorneys, it's not a judge, it's not an arbitrator who are making monumental decisions about where children go, their custody, where they attend school, financial decisions, what happens with the house. It's the parties, because really the spouses are the ones that are best equipped to know what should happen with their family and their family's assets.
Yeah, because those are big decisions.
Absolutely.
And they're going to
absolutely
impact the rest of your lives, and that's big. I mean, that's I can see that would make collaborative divorce very, very appealing.
Yes, and collaborative divorce also assists parties to have the tools to co-parent, because the reality is when parents divorce, they're not giving up their roles as mom and dad, or mom and mom, dad and dad, whatever the case may be. They're only giving up the roles as husband and wife. So they have to be in a position where they're able to continue to co-parent and be able to make decisions that are going to assist their children to grow up to be healthy and wonderful adults. And that's the goal. Collaborative divorce helps to give the parties those kind of tools to do that. And that's one of the things, it's a very family-focused type of process.
I just want to say, as I didn't say earlier, we are getting some questions coming in the comments, and I just wanted to let people know that there will be a time for question and answer at the end of this show. And so once our expert panel has completed their presentation, then we'll have some time to answer your questions.
So I think with this collaborative discussion, I think that takes us right into our second tip.